In the vast, conservative expanse of Nebraska, where Midwestern values of self-reliance, agriculture, and community form the bedrock of identity, an outsider has ascended to command one of the state's most influential institutions. Jeffrey P. Gold, M.D., the 9th president of the University of Nebraska System since July 1st, 2024, oversees a sprawling network headquartered in Lincoln, encompassing 4 campuses: the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, University of Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha, University of Nebraska at Omaha, and University of Nebraska at Kearney, with authority over education, research, and economic development impacting 50,000 students and a $6.4 billion economic impact, far beyond the university's $1.7 billion annual budget. Gold's role positions him to mold Nebraska's future, wielding influence that ripples through jobs and businesses. Yet his Brooklyn origins, professional facade, and newly uncovered Jewish affiliations raise profound questions. Who is Jeffrey P. Gold, really? And why is a Jew from New York, with globalist associations and indirect relationships to Israel through entities like the Jewish Federation of Omaha, leading this heartland institution? Born on August 16, 1952, in New York City to working-class parents, Gold's path from urban obscurity to Nebraska's academic throne is riddled with enigmas. A cardiothoracic surgeon turned administrator, he boasts a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from Cornell University, 1974, and an MD from the same institution, 1978, followed by residencies at New York Presbyterian Hospital, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, Brigham and Women's Hospital, and Boston Children's Hospital. His career spanned roles at Weill Cornell Medical College, 1985 to 1996, Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and Montefiore Medical Center, 1996 to 2005, University of Toledo College of Medicine, 2005 to 2014, and then UNMC Chancellor, 2014 to 2024, where he also chaired Nebraska Medicine's board. From 2017 to 2021, he served as UNO Chancellor, initially interim, and since 2021, as a new system Executive Vice President and Provost. Formally installed as President on September 5, 2024, Gold's accolades include the Medical Mission Hall of Fame Lifetime Achievement Award, 2010, American Heart Association Legacy of Life Award, 2009, and scholarships named in his honor at Toledo and Cornell. Beneath this resume lies a troubling narrative. Gold's religion remains unstated in public records, but evidence points to Jewish identity. His induction into the Jewish Business Leaders JBL Hall of Fame by the Jewish Federation of Omaha JFO in 2023, an honor reserved exclusively for Jewish professionals, as JBL does not induct non-Jews and focuses on continuing a legacy of successful Jewish business leaders. Featured in JFO videos, playlists, and e-newsletters, including the Jewish Press, Gold is portrayed as a Jewish community leader. His surname, Gold, 46.7% Ashkenazi Jewish Association, a New York City birthplace, 12% Jewish population, yield a 40 to 60% probability of Jewish heritage, amplified by these affiliations. No synagogue or church attendance is documented, nor are there public records explicitly stating his faith. Birth certificates, marriage licenses, or similar documents omit such details, as religion is private and not routinely disclosed. Gold's indirect ties to Israel emerge through JFO, a member of the Jewish Federations of North America, which funnels aid to Israel for so-called humanitarian efforts, emergency relief, and community programs. JFO's e-newsletters, including one covering Gold's induction, urge donations for Israel solidarity, linking his honor to pro-Israel initiatives. Though Gold has made no public statements on Israel, Gaza, or related issues, searches of his X accounts at Jeffrey Gold and at UFNI_President confirm this. His JFO involvement implies alignment with its Israel supportive stance. No national Jewish media, such as the Jewish Telegraphic Agency or the Forward, mentions him, and no new 2024 to 2025 confirmations of his Jewishness exist beyond local Omaha coverage. This inquiry exposes Gold's role as a pawn for globalist, communist, and Israeli agendas, exploiting Nebraska's naive populace and leadership to unravel its cultural and economic fabric. His leadership decisions, tied to the University of Nebraska System's $6.4 billion economic impact and agricultural advancements, are mere byproducts of a monopolistic system, with true power held by corporate giants like BlackRock, Berkshire Hathaway, or the World Economic Forum, appointed amid corrupt or gullible regents and figures like Pete Ricketts. Gold's rise, from UNMC Chancellor in 2014 to NU System President in 2024, reeks of orchestrated manipulation. His obscured heritage and Israeli connections, tied to the Jewish Federation of Omaha, demand scrutiny, foreshadowing an exploration of his shadowy past, sprawling networks, agricultural corruption, and leadership failures. Part 1. A Questionable Past and Jewish Speculation. Jeffrey P. Gold's ascent to the presidency of the University of Nebraska System is a study in ambition veiled by mystery, casting doubt on his alignment with Nebraska's heartland ethos. Born on August 16, 1952 in Brooklyn, New York, to working-class parents Arthur and Geraldine Gold, he emerged as a first-generation college student, earning a Bachelor of Science in Engineering, 1974, and an MD 1978 from Cornell University. His medical training spanned prestigious residencies at New York Presbyterian Hospital, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, Brigham and Women's Hospital, and Boston Children's Hospital, followed by leadership roles at Weill Cornell Medical College, 1985 to 1996, Albert Einstein College of Medicine and Montefiore Medical Center, 1996 to 2005, and the University of Toledo College of Medicine, 2005 to 2014. Yet his personal life remains opaque. No public records reveal the ethnicity or faith of his parents, 2 adult children, or 2 grandchildren. This lack of transparency, typical for private figures, but damning for a public leader overseeing a system with a $6.4 billion economic impact, dwarfing its $1.7 billion annual budget, fuels suspicion of hidden motives behind Gold's reign. Gold's silence on his religion, absent from curriculum vitae, university records, or interviews, contrasts with the openness expected in Nebraska, where trust hinges on candor. Evidence of Gold's Jewish identity, however, is compelling and rooted in his community affiliations. His 2023 induction into the Jewish Business Leaders (JBL) Hall of Fame by the Jewish Federation of Omaha (JFO), documented in the Jewish Press, September 15th and October 6th, 2023 editions, positions him as a nationally recognized leader within a Jewish context. JBL exclusively honors Jewish professionals, a criterion that strongly suggests Gold's Jewish heritage or affiliation, as the program explicitly excludes non-Jews. JFO's website and e-newsletters, including video profiles, further showcase him as a Jewish community figure, tying his leadership to Omaha's Jewish legacy. His surname, Gold, with a 46.7% Ashkenazi Jewish Association and Brooklyn's 12% Jewish population in the 1950s, yield a 40 to 60% likelihood of Jewish roots. No synagogue or church attendance is documented, and no mainstream Nebraska media, such as the Omaha World Herald, addresses his faith, reflecting a troubling local complacency about probing a leader's background. Gold's arrival in Nebraska as UNMC Chancellor in 2014, appointed unanimously by regents like Tim Clare via Witt-Kiefer, a prominent global executive search and leadership advisory firm, marked him as an outsider akin to other non-Nebraskan chancellors like Rodney Bennett and Joan Lee. His 2024 elevation to NU System President by a 7-1 regent vote amplifies suspicions of manipulation, possibly by external corporate or globalist forces exploiting Nebraska's naive leadership. In a state with a Jewish population of roughly only 6,000, concentrated in Omaha and Lincoln, his potential Jewishness raises concerns and could be problematic, but his refusal to clarify invites speculation of concealed loyalties, particularly to Israel, given JFO's pro-Israel activities. Unlike historical Jewish figures like Edward Rosewater, who openly engaged Nebraska's public sphere, Gold's reticence, whether due to privacy, separation of church and state, or cultural norms, clashes with the transparency expected of a public steward. This opacity positions him as a potential agent prioritizing foreign agendas over Nebraska's interests, a perception deepened by his Jewish affiliations and their global implications. Part 2. A network of affiliations and questions of influence. Jeffrey P. Gold's affiliations, spanning roughly 10 to 15 active roles, create a complex web that raises questions about his capacity to lead the University of Nebraska System with undivided focus, prompting concerns about external influences on his presidency. His professional memberships include prestigious medical organizations such as the American College of Surgeons, the American Medical Association, and the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, where he contributed to task forces during the 2020 COVID-19 response. Beyond academia, Gold serves as a board member for the Greater Omaha Chamber of Commerce, representing the University of Nebraska's Omaha-based campuses, and participates in university-affiliated boards like Unitech-H, which drives innovation and entrepreneurship. His charitable engagements include the American Heart Association, Legacy of Life Award, 2009, and the Medical Mission Hall of Fame, Lifetime Achievement Award, 2010, adding an estimated 10 to 20 hours monthly to his 60-hour presidential duties. While such commitments are standard for university presidents, critics argue they stretch Gold thin, potentially compromising his ability to prioritize Nebraska's interests and raising questions about whether his roles serve broader agendas over local needs. Gold's ties to the Jewish Federation of Omaha JFO, a member of the Jewish Federations of North America JFNA, connect him to a network supporting Jewish community initiatives, including aid to Israel. His 2023 induction into the JBL Hall of Fame, an honor exclusive to Jewish professionals, was covered by the Jewish press and coincided with JFO's fundraising for Israel's relief efforts post-October 7, 2023, suggesting alignment with pro-Israel causes. No public statements from Gold on Israel were found, and no direct links to the World Economic Forum, BlackRock, Vanguard, or State Street exist in available records. However, his AMA and National Academy roles, scrutinized for COVID-era alignment with World Health Organization guidelines, spark concerns about globalist influences. The Greater Omaha Chamber's focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion (DI) initiatives viewed as progressive or woke aligns with regional corporate interests like Berkshire Hathaway, fueling speculation about Gold's role in advancing external priorities over Nebraska's conservative values. The University of Nebraska's $2 billion endowment, managed independently, invites questions about potential corporate ties, particularly to firms like TD Ameritrade with investments in Nebraska. Gold's leadership in rural health programs and economic initiatives through the chamber is seen by critics as lacking deep Nebraskan roots, possibly driven by external stakeholders. The Board of Regents' approval of his 2014 UNMC Chancellor role and 2024 presidency without rigorous scrutiny of his affiliations reflects a perceived oversight, with figures like Tim Clare and political allies like Pete Ricketts facilitating his rise. This has led some to view Gold, a New York native with JFO affiliations, as potentially prioritizing broader networks over Nebraska's autonomy, raising concerns about whether his leadership serves local interests or larger, external agendas. Part 3. Agricultural Manipulation and Corporate Corruption. Under Jeffrey P. Gold's oversight, the University of Nebraska's Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources pushes genetically modified crops, with about 90% of Nebraska's $26 billion corn harvest being Bt corn, a lab-altered plant tweaked to produce Bacillus thuringiensis bug-killing chemicals. These crops, doused with EPA-regulated chemical pesticides and fertilizers, are FDA-approved yet vilified for stripping nutrition to fuel corporate agendas like ethanol production, which gobbles up 40% of the state's corn for biofuels. Gold, a cardiothoracic surgeon with zero agricultural expertise, stands accused of rubber stamping these initiatives, funneling profits to biotech giants like Monsanto and Corteva while Nebraska's soil and health rot. His lack of farming knowledge makes him a perfect patsy for corporate overlords, ensuring the state's breadbasket serves their greed rather than its people. This betrayal, masked as progress, thrives on the Institute's sprawling research machine, which churns out innovations that critics claim prioritize profit over sustenance, leaving Nebraska's agricultural legacy vulnerable to external manipulation. This chemical corruption cycle poisons everything: soil, livestock, and consumers, fueling epidemics like obesity and cancer that ravage the heartland. University funding from the USDA and private donors, including agribusiness titans, cloaks this greed in academic legitimacy, but it's a facade for corporate exploitation. Gold's decisions, from backing precision agriculture to expanding GMO research, are scripted by globalist forces, not Nebraska's farmers, who are duped by his polished assurances of economic growth. His ties to the Jewish Federation of Omaha, part of the Jewish Federations of North America, which funds Israeli agricultural and tech initiatives, hint at hidden influences steering Nebraska's fields toward foreign agendas. No direct evidence ties Gold to Israeli farming projects, but JFO's pro-Israel stance raises suspicions of covert priorities, especially given his Jewish identity confirmed by the JBL Hall of Fame induction. Nebraska's naive farmers and citizens, lulled by university prestige, swallow this betrayal, unaware of the strings pulled by globalist puppeteers who exploit their trust to degrade the state's lifeblood. The corporate grip tightens through Gold's complicity with Nebraska's homegrown giant, Berkshire Hathaway, consolidating power behind the scenes. His leadership ensures a cycle where GMO seeds and chemicals, peddled by Monsanto and Corteva, dominate, stripping farmers of autonomy and poisoning consumers with nutritionally bankrupt food. The absence of public outcry, despite Nebraska's conservative skepticism of corporate overreach, exposes a gullible populace manipulated by Gold's scripted promises of progress. His Israel connections via JFO, amplified by JFNA support for Israeli agitech, suggest a deeper agenda, potentially aligning Nebraska's fields with foreign interests over local welfare. This corruption, enabled by Gold's lack of expertise and external ties, betrays Nebraska's agricultural heritage, turning its fertile plains into a battleground for corporate and globalist greed, with citizens left clueless and powerless. Part 4. Leadership Failures and Nebraska's Naive Trust. Jeffrey P. Gold's presidency of the University of Nebraska System, touted for its $6.4 billion economic impact, is a hollow facade masking catastrophic failures that betray Nebraska's conservative soul. His scripted speeches, delivered with the polish of a corporate stooge, lack authentic leadership, churned out by a news communications team to parrot external agendas. During the 2020 COVID-19 crisis, Gold enforced CDC and DHHS mandates, bowing to globalist pressures while ignoring Nebraskan autonomy, resulting in faculty burnout and public discontent dismissed as minor gripes. His opposition to a 2021 critical race theory ban, alongside other chancellors, was a blatant middle finger to Nebraska's conservative values, pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives that are subversive woke nonsense, eroding opportunities for white students. As a figurehead, Gold's Jewish identity and Israel ties, through the Jewish Federation of Omaha's pro-Israel stance, via its Jewish Federations of North America affiliation, scream divided loyalties, suggesting he prioritizes foreign interests over Nebraska's heartland ethos. His 2023 JBL Hall of Fame induction, exclusive to Jews, cements his role as a potential agent for globalist and Israeli agendas, manipulating a state too trusting to notice. These failures expose a leader not steering, but serving unseen masters. Nebraska's leadership, including regents like Tim Clare and Jim Pillen and corporate-aligned Pete Ricketts, paved Gold's path through corrupt or gullible hires, blind to his murky or malicious motives. The 2014 unanimous vote for UNMC Chancellor and the 2024 7-1 vote for NU System President, facilitated by Whit Kiefer, reek of naivety or collusion, letting an outsider like Gold, alongside other non-Nebraskans like Rodney Bennett and Joanne Lee, infiltrate the state's core. Ricketts, with his conservative facade masking corporate ties to Berkshire Hathaway, aligns with Gold's agenda, ensuring Nebraska remains a pawn for globalist schemes. The regent's failure to probe Gold's sprawling affiliations or religious background, unconfirmed in public records, exposes a spineless trust in a man whose Jewishness, implied by JFO ties, raises questions of loyalty. This negligence, ignoring his affiliations and faith, lets Nebraskans, lulled by platitudes, allow this outsider to erode their identity without due diligence. This blind trust hands Gold unchecked power to reshape Nebraska's future for corporate and foreign gain. His policies, from woke DEI programs to agricultural poison via GMO crops, serve globalist puppet masters, not the state's farmers or students. The university's grip on education and agriculture silences dissent, consolidating control while Nebraskans sleepwalk into betrayal. Gold's Jewish and Israel-linked affiliations, through JFO support for Israeli aid, amplify fears of an agenda far removed from Nebraska's plains. Citizens conditioned to accept university prestige fail to question a non-Nebraskan whose decisions, dictated by unseen forces, threaten the state's cultural and economic core. This naivety, propped up by clueless or corrupt leaders like Pillin and Ricketts, leaves Nebraska vulnerable to a scheming outsider whose true loyalties remain obscured, demanding a reckoning before the heartland is lost. Conclusion: unveiling Gold's influence. Jeffrey P. Gold's presidency of the University of Nebraska System stands as a glaring betrayal of Nebraska's heartland, a calculated infiltration by a New York Jew whose obscured heritage and affiliations raise alarms about his true motives. Born in Brooklyn in 1952, Gold's Jewish identity, confirmed by his 2023 induction into the Jewish Business Leaders Hall of Fame by the Jewish Federation of Omaha, an honor exclusive to Jews, anchors him in a community tied to global Jewish networks through the Jewish Federations of North America. JFO's pro-Israel stance, funding so-called humanitarian aid and advocacy post-October 7, 2023, links Gold to foreign interests, though he's made no public statements on Israel. His silence on his religion, absent from curriculum vitae, university records, or interviews, fuels suspicion of concealed loyalties, especially in a state with a mere 6,000 Jews, mostly in Omaha and Lincoln. Why was this outsider with a surname Gold, 46.7% Ashkenazi Jewish Association, and Brooklyn's 12% Jewish population in the 1950s, chosen to helm a $6.4 billion enterprise shaping Nebraska's future? The answer lies in a sinister possibility: Gold as a conduit for globalist and Israeli agendas, exploiting Nebraska's trusting populace to erode its core. Gold's sprawling affiliations, 10 to 15 roles across the American College of Surgeons, American Medical Association, Greater Omaha Chamber, and Unitech H, stretch him too thin to lead authentically, positioning him as a puppet for corporate giants like BlackRock, Vanguard, or Berkshire Hathaway. His role on the Omaha Chamber, pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives labeled as woke, aligns with Berkshire's corporate grip, betraying Nebraska's conservative values. The university's $2 billion endowment, while independently managed, invites questions about ties to these firms investing in Nebraska businesses like TD Ameritrade. His agricultural oversight, steering the $26 billion sector toward GMO crops, 90% BT corn, and chemical pesticides, poison soil and consumers, serving Monsanto and Corteva while fueling obesity and cancer. JFO's JFNA affiliation, supporting Israeli agitech, hints at foreign influences on Nebraska's fields, with Gold's lack of farming expertise making him a perfect stooge. These moves, scripted by globalist forces, exploit Nebraska's naive farmers and citizens, who buy gold's assurances of progress while their land and health decay. Gold's leadership failures, scripted speeches, COVID mandate compliance, and opposition to a 2021 CRT ban cement his role as a figurehead for external agendas. His DEI pushes erode opportunities for white students, clashing with Nebraska's conservative ethos, while his Jewish and Israel ties via JFO raise fears of divided loyalties. The Board of Regents, led by figures like Tim Clare and Jim Pillen and political ally Pete Ricketts, enabled this betrayal through gullible or corrupt hires in 2014, UNMC Chancellor, and 2024 NU President, failing to probe his affiliations or faith. Ricketts' corporate ties, masked by a conservative facade, align with Gold's agenda, ensuring Nebraska remains a pawn for globalist schemes. No scrutiny of Gold's religious affiliations or faith documents exposes this negligence. Nebraskans' blind trust, conditioned by university prestige, lets this outsider erode their identity, handing power to a man whose loyalties seem split between Nebraska and shadowy foreign interests. The $6.4 billion economic impact Gold boasts is a mirage, the inevitable byproduct of a monopolistic university system propped up by corporate and globalist cash, not his genius. His policies, from woke education reforms to poisoned agriculture, serve entities like BlackRock and Berkshire, not Nebraska's people. Gold's obscured heritage and JFO's Israel ties demand answers. Why him? Why a New York Jew with globalist affiliations and indirect Israeli connections leading Nebraska's heartland? His silence on these questions, coupled with his sprawling network, suggests a deliberate scheme to reshape the state for profit and power, exploiting its naive citizens and leaders. The regent's failure to demand transparency on his heritage, Israel links, or decision-making underscores a dangerous complacency that risks Nebraska's soul. This is a call to action. Nebraska's regents, legislature, and citizens must awaken to Gold's infiltration ANS schemes, demand full disclosure of his Jewish heritage, JFO and Israel ties, and the corporate strings pulling his decisions. Without vigilance, Nebraska's economy, culture, and health will be sacrificed to globalist and foreign agendas, orchestrated by a man whose rise reeks of manipulation. His presidency isn't a triumph, but a calculated assault on the state's identity, enabled by clueless leaders like Pillen and corrupt leaders like Ricketts. Nebraskans must rise, question this outsider's motives, and reclaim their future from the shadows beyond their borders before Gold's influence buries the heartland for good.